The hum of industrial machinery was a low thrum against Gambit's ears, a symphony of latent power. He moved like a ghost through the labyrinthine corridors of Stark Industries, his senses heightened, his every step calculated. This wasn't a joyride, nor was it a typical score for personal gain. No, tonight the stakes were impossibly high, woven into the very fabric of his loyalty. In a dilapidated warehouse across town, a life was flickering, fading fast. His friend, Fence, lay broken, brutally beaten by Tombstone's enforcers, clinging to life by a thread. The medical technology needed to save him wasn't something you could simply buy or steal from a corner store. It was bleeding edge, proprietary, and locked deep within these very walls. Fence, a man whose network of underworld contacts was as vast as it was murky, was more than just an associate to Remy LeBeau. He was a confidant, a connection, a familiar presence in the shadowy corners of Gambit's world. To see him brought so low, so brutally close to death, ignited a familiar fire within Gambit, a righteous anger, tempered by an unwavering resolve. Conventional medicine had failed. The only chance lay in a piece of experimental Stark technology, rumored to repair cellular damage at an accelerated rate. Gambit knew the risks. Breaking into Stark Industries was an invitation to a direct confrontation with one of the most powerful corporate and military entities on the planet. But for Fence, there was no other choice. The ends, in this moment, absolutely justified the means. He navigated the intricate security systems with practiced ease, his kinetic powers a whisper against the alarms, charging an obscure panel here, disarming a laser grid there. His target, a secure R&D vault. The ultimate irony? To access the most sensitive tech, he needed to reactivate and repurpose a dusty, decommissioned Mark I Iron Man armor, tucked away in an archival section. It was clumsy, archaic by modern standards, but its basic power core and rudimentary systems were enough for what Gambit had in mind. He wasn't planning on wearing it into battle. He needed its internal components, its power conduit, to interface with the very device he intended to steal. He moved with a dancer's grace, even in the cumbersome shell, disabling internal defenses, his charged playing cards a percussive punctuation to the silent theft. But the theft of a Stark asset, even an outdated one, sends ripples. The sudden surge of energy from the reactivated armor, however brief, tripped an alarm that brought the full, formidable force of James Rhodes, War Machine, crashing down on him. The air thrummed with a new kind of tension as War Machine descended, his repulsors glowing ominously. "Hands up, thief, you've got nowhere to go," Rhodes' voice boomed, metallic and uncompromising. Gambit, inside the relic armor, barely managed to shrug. "Mon ami, you wound me. I'm just borrowing." What followed was less a fight and more a desperate strategic evasion. War Machine, a tank of a man, unleashed volleys of unbridled power, rockets and minigun fire. Gambit, agile even within the heavy shell, moved with surprising speed, using his kinetic charges to propel the armor in jarring, unpredictable bursts, deflecting energy blasts with cleverly placed charges, even managing to momentarily overload some of War Machine's less critical external systems. He wasn't trying to win, he was trying to escape. He knew that for all his power, War Machine was a hero, a man who wouldn't relish lethal force if there was another way. Gambit played on that, making just enough trouble to distract, to create openings, to buy precious seconds. Every explosion of charged energy, every near miss, echoed the ticking clock on Fence's life. Finally, with a desperate burst of charged energy aimed at a reinforced wall, Gambit blew a gaping hole in the facility's exterior, tumbling out into the night with the coveted device clutched tightly within the armor's grasp. War Machine, momentarily stunned by the sheer destructive force, gave chase, but Gambit, now free of the confines of the Stark building, used the surrounding urban landscape to his advantage, disappearing into the labyrinthine alleys, a shadow fading into the pre-dawn light. Back in the warehouse, the stolen Stark tech, jury-rigged and humming with borrowed power, became Fence's lifeline. Hours crawled by, filled with a grim, determined hope. And slowly, miraculously, the technology did its work. Fence, on the brink of death, began to stabilize. The color returned to his ashen face, his breathing deepened. Life, against all odds, had been coaxed back. This audacious act, this daring theft of cutting-edge technology from one of the world's most powerful individuals, stands as a quintessential illustration of Gambit's complex moral code. He operates not within the rigid confines of law, but by a deeper, more personal code of loyalty and necessity. He robbed from the rich, yes, but not for personal enrichment, not for ego or grand larceny. He did it to save a life, the life of a friend who, in his own way, was innocent in the face of Tombstone's brutal aggression. Gambit's compass may be skewed, pointing true north through a prism of shaded ethics, but it often lands on the side of protection, of defending those who cannot defend themselves, especially those within his chosen, often complicated family. He believes that sometimes the most profoundly moral act requires a journey through the morally ambiguous. It's a messy, chaotic, and often explosive path, but for Remy LeBeau, it is the only path when the lives of those he cares for are on the line. What do you think of heroes who walk such a fine line? Is Gambit's act of grand theft justified by the life it saved? We invite you to share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this glimpse into the nuanced world of one of Marvel's most intriguing characters, remember to like this video and subscribe for more stories that explore the complex moral landscapes of our favorite heroes and anti-heroes. Until next time, keep exploring the shadows.